Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome back to another video. So my lights are still being used for a scientific experiment, so I won't get them back until maybe a couple more weeks, if that. So yeah, just another audio. Sorry to disappoint those who are looking forward to see me on the screen. That's probably none of you. All right, so we have three wide releases last weekend. Jumanji, The Next Level. Then we have Richard Jewell and the horror movie Black Christmas. Let's see how those movies did at the box office. All right, let's jump right in. Coming in at number one is Jumanji, The Next Level. This is a movie that I say could probably open somewhere between 45 to 50 million because the first movie did so well. It opened up to only 36 million, but it went on to gross 404 million domestically and 962 million worldwide. And you know, this is the first movie opened around the same time, and then during the holiday breaks, into January, keep on going until it top 404 million at the domestic box office. And the second movie I thought could open a bit better because how well the first movie did, but I underestimated the movie as well as a lot of industry observers as well. They were projecting somewhere in the high 40s as well. But hey, this movie opened better than all of our projections, 60.1 million. These are estimates, by the way. The real numbers will come in maybe sometime later on today. So 60.1 million for the sequel, The Next Level. And we knew that it would do better than the first movie, but we didn't expect it to do this much better. And Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan all returned for this movie, adding Awkwafina, etc. As well, joining them in this movie. It's pretty much the first movie, except that it's in a different environment. The first one was the jungle. This one, it's kind of like a desert environment. And reviews wise, this movie is pretty well reviewed. I mean, the first movie was had a 76% on the tomato meter. This one is a bit lower, but margin of error and all right, 68% on the tomato meter, and for some reason it was not polled by the cinema score, so we don't know what the cinema score for this movie is. The budget for the first movie is like 90 million, and given that how much the first movie made and all, I expect this movie to the budget for this movie to be over 100 plus million. So all in all, a pretty good start for Jumanji, The Next Level, and let's see, if it follows the trajectory of the first movie and continue to, be a dominant force at the box office. All right, coming in number two is Frozen 2. In this fourth weekend, the movie dropped about 46% to pull in about 19.2 million. Domestic gross is 367 million, and let's see how well it did overseas. Overseas, it pulled in 666 million for a worldwide total of about 1 billion. So, and it's continue going on, and we expect this movie to outgross the first movie. The first movie grossed about 1 billion as well, and this one I expect it to outgross it. The first movie grossed about 1 billion. I expect this movie to outgross the 1.2 billion mark. All right, number three is Knives Out, the comedy thriller directed by Rian Johnson, starring an all-star cast with Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, Jamie Lee Curtis, and others. And in its third weekend, the box office dropped about 35% to pull in 9.3 million. Domestic gross is about 79 million, and let's see how it did overseas. Overseas, it did a bit better, 83 million for a worldwide total of 162 million, which is pretty good for a movie that cost about 40 million to make. And reviews wise, it's 96% on the tomato meter and A- cinema score. So Knives Out is one of these movies that are getting great buzz, and people are turning out for it. All right, number four is one of the new releases last weekend. It's the Clint Eastwood directed movie Richard Jewell, about the person, the security guard who was, accused of setting off a bomb at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. In this opening frame, it pulled in about 5 million. And this is a movie I thought I said could probably open better, 15 to 20 million, because of previous Clint Eastwood movies, biopics. They usually open around there and continue to go on, but this one I guess the interest level for this movie is not that high, only 5 million. But then again, this is it's open during the holiday season, and we don't know what kind of legs this one will have. We don't know if it will continue to, if it continue to make, like small bits here and there, and who knows, maybe when it's all said and done, it probably grows somewhere in the 50 million or so. But we don't know, right? This is still too early to say, and just based on its opening figure, I don't see this movie doing that well. But then again, we don't know. Reviews wise, it's actually pretty good, 73% on the tomato meter and a cinema score. So the critical reviews are there, critics liked it, the people who saw it liked it. It's just a matter of if the audience will turn out for this, since there are a lot of choices in theaters for at this moment, the holidays. We have Jumanji, we have Frozen, we have Knives Out, Queen and Slim, which is getting a pretty good buzz as one. Then we have this new Star Wars movie, so there are a lot of choices. So Richard Jewell might get lost in the shuffle. All right, moving along to number 5 is the other new releases last weekend, and that is the horror movie Black Christmas. It's actually a remake of a 1974 slasher of the same name. This is a movie that could probably pulled in 8.10 million, but no, it actually opened to about 4.4 million. Kind of I wouldn't say a disappointment, but because horror movies are hit or miss at the box office, and I tend to go lower, and this one is actually not that successful at the box office, even though it is billed as directed by a female director, Sophia Takal, starring Imogen Poots, Lily Donahue, and on. And I guess one of the problems with this movie is I guess the lack of star power. But then again, like previous movies, horror movies, usually star less than this one, has stars less than this one, name recognition less than this one. Yeah, the audience is giving this one a definite no at the box office. All right, number 6 is Ford versus Ferrari. In its 5th weekend, this movie dropped about 38% to pull in 4.1 million at the box office. And after 5 weekends, the domestic gross is about 99 million. Let's see how it did overseas. Overseas, it pulled in an additional 86.4 million for a worldwide total of 185 million. The budget for this movie is about 100 million. So yeah, it's not at the break-even point yet. I guess it still has some ways to go. All right, number 7 is the thriller about a black couple who accidentally killed a cop during a traffic stop. This one stars Daniel Kaluuya and Jodie Turner-Smith in her debut. Chloe Sevigny is in here. And let's see, in its 3rd weekend, it pulled in about 3.6 million, dropped about 46%. For domestic gross, about 33 million. And let's see, it hasn't opened overseas yet, so 33 million is what we have so far. This is a movie that is getting good reviews, good buzz, 83% on the tomato meter and a A- cinema score. It opened better than I expected. Yeah, Queen and Slim is one of these well-reviewed movies that are getting good reviews, but the audience are choosing one of the more high-profile movies. All right, number 8 is the Mr. Roger neighborhood biopic, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. It scored at 3.4 million in its 4th weekend, drop of about 36%. Domestic gross is about 50 million, and let's see, hasn't opened overseas yet, and I'm not sure if it will open that wide overseas, since Mr. Roger is more of an American tale. I'm not sure if Mr. Roger plays overseas, and he's that influential overseas, so I'm not sure if it will, but I think it will get a overseas release somewhat, right? But I don't expect it to be that big. All right, number 9 is the thriller Dark Water, starring Mark Ruffalo as a corporate lawyer who's taking on the chemical company. I think, is it DuPont? Or one of those things, one of those chemical companies that is polluting the water in this tiny town, right? So in its 4th weekend, dropped about 50% to pull in about 2 million. It expanded, by the way, and domestic gross so far is about 9 million. And it kind of opened overseas, an additional 351K overseas for about 9.2 million. So this is one of these movies that are not going to be that huge at the box office. It's not going to be that big of a moneymaker at the box office, but it's I don't think it costs that much to make, and it's more of like a prestige picture for these excellent actors, including Anne Hathaway, Mark Ruffalo, Tim Robbins, and others. All right, let's close out the top 10 with the thriller 21 Bridges, starring Chadwick Boseman, who played Black Panther, right? Let's see, in its fourth weekend, it pulled in about 1.2 million. Drop off is about, nearly 59% from the previous weekend, for domestic gross of about 26.4 million. It pulled in an additional 11.5 million overseas, for a worldwide total about 37.9 million. The budget for this movie is about 33 million, so yeah, it broke even, and I expect this movie to do better than it did. Like I project this movie to open somewhere in the 15 to 20 million range, right? But it only opened to about 9 million. So 21 Bridges is not meeting my expectations. All right, so that's it for the top 10. Let's move on to the new releases this weekend. We're going to have two major ones, the biggest of which is obviously the latest Star Wars movie, Rise of the Skywalker. And then we have Cats, the adaptation of the long-running Broadway musical. All right, let's start off with the Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker. So this is the final movie of the latest trilogy, the mainline story, right? J.J. Abrams is back at the director's chair. Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, etc. is here. Also, this movie has a distinction of, I guess, being Carrie Fisher's final movie. If not the final movie, it's like the biggest, sin out of all, right? And they recreated some of the scene using CGI. So to put it into perspective, The Last Jedi, which is, I believe, the previous mainline Star Wars movie, opened to 220 million. That's huge, right? I think it broke a lot of records. Went on to make 620 million domestically and 1.3 billion worldwide. So yeah, it's a pretty big movie. It's a pretty big deal. And this one is billed as the final one, at least in this saga, right? The Daisy Ridley saga. So again, there's a lot of reason why this movie will be huge, right? The final movie in this trilogy, Carrie Fisher's final movie. And and it's Star Wars, right? Star Wars. The last movie opened to 220 million, and I have no reason to believe this one is gonna open less than that. So I'm gonna say 225 million opening for Rise of the Skywalker, regardless how well reviewed it is, right? People are gonna turn out for this movie. All right, then we have Cats. It is the movie adaptation of the long-running Broadway musical. The thing with this movie is that if you look at in the comment section of the trailer on YouTube, people are weirded out by the looks. Human, that looks like cat. That look like cats, and I guess they're not used to it. I'm not sure how real the cinnamon is. It could be just people trolling the YouTube comment sections, which is a pretty common thing, right? But to me, it looks good, right? It looks good, looks interesting. And Cats, the play, at least, is a proven formula. Cats is a proven commodity, right? I think it was created back, I don't know when, in the 80s or 90s, I don't know. But then, it survived all these years, and now they're making a movie out of this. I'm not sure. This is not the first movie, by the way. I think there might be some previous one. But this one is a modern update. Stars Taylor Swift, Francesca Hayward, Idris Elba, Judi Dench, Ian McKellen, Rebel Wilson, James Corden, Jennifer Hudson, Jason Derulo is in here, on and on. So, it's also an all-star cast. They have a mix of actors and singer in this movie, so I expect good things for this movie. But then again, right, it's opening opposite Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, which will suck the oxygen out of pretty much every movie that's going to be released in theaters. But I think Cats has a fighting chance. It is counter programming, and for a movie that opened during the holidays, at least the Christmas holidays, it doesn't need to open huge, right? As long as it's good, then I guess it will make its money over time. And But like I said, Cats stood the test of time, and this is just the movie version of it, and they could do things in movies that I wish they could not do with, like live plays. Budget for this movie is surprisingly low, only 95 million, right, with all the special effects and all. So having said that, right, I expect this movie, opposite Star Wars, to carve a niche for itself, maybe where it would open somewhere in the 15 million range, and I think it'll make its money over time. Alright, so that's it for this week's podcast. Tune in next time to see how I did. Until then, take care. Bye bye.